Before we begin, just like to start by thanking everyone for joining us today. My name is Grace Roach and I work with the Food Hub here in Leitrim in Ireland. The best practice webinar today is coming from Ireland, and I will be joined very shortly by Aidan McCormack and neighbouring county Sligo in the northwest of Ireland. Thank you to everyone who's joining us from across Europe. We have partners and participants joining us from Germany, Latvia, Bulgaria, Slovenia, Italy, and of course Ireland. I want to thank everyone who's been involved in the project so far. We have had many of you already engaged in the project through stakeholder workshops, participating in discussions, sharing your insights, completing our surveys, and we're very grateful for all your contributions so far, which are going to help this project remain grounded in the needs of our regions and our tourism business and tourism operators. So the webinar today is the first in a series of short lunchtime webinars, which will be running for the next, I think, 7 weeks. So one this week, 2 next week, Tuesdays and Thursdays for 30 minutes. There's a really great lineup of sessions that will cover everything from AI and data-informed planning to social media visibility, digital visitor experiences, gamification, new ways of presenting cultural heritage, and all being very rooted in practical, real-world examples, work that has already been done and that we can learn from. So if you are joining us just for today, we will encourage you to please come back again. We'll share the registration link a little bit later in the chat. So please do consider joining the rest of the sessions. But we will start now, and I'm going to introduce you to Aidan McCormack, who is Tourism Officer with Sligo County Council. Thanks for joining us, Aidan.
Thank you.
Aidan has a strong digital background, having previously worked in e-commerce before moving into tourism and destination development, and we'll hear a little bit how that has helped the work that he's been doing. He's been closely involved in the creation and the promotion of the Ideas Engine, which is an AI-powered itinerary planning tool developed by Sligo County Council to help visitors discover the county in a safer, more personalised and more balanced way. Since its launch, the tool has generated over 3,000 itineraries, translating into more than 30,000 direct recommendations to tourism businesses across Sligo. It has also received national recognition, including an e-government award and a recent mention in the Irish Independent Travel Insider Top 100 Hits for 2026. That is a huge start to a tool that is quite newly launched, Aidan, so well done for that.
Thanks very much. We're delighted with how it's been utilised and used so far. So just really as an overview, Sligo is a beautiful destination in the northwest of Ireland, right beside Leitrim, and other places nearby include Mayo and Donegal. So it's along the Atlantic coast. So very much a place of beautiful landscape. Some small towns, we don't have a big city, and we have lots of rural areas which are kind of spread out. And in those rural areas, we have beautiful hikes and walks and mountains and hills and like megalithic sites that are older than the pyramids. My background, for example, is a cave system, which is full of Irish mythology and history. And it's only a 15 or 20 minute hike in a very rural part of South Sligo. So my job is to promote Sligo as a destination, both within Ireland and internationally. And as we do that, we want to spread visitor volume across Sligo so that all parts of the county receive the benefits of tourism. And also, when we do some international work, we work with people from Leitrim and Donegal and our neighbours, because international visitors don't know Ireland all that well. So we just want the northwest of Ireland to be promoted. So I have a digital background, and of course with the introduction of ChatGPT and Copilot, everybody researches itineraries that way, you know, and when it was launched, well, the first thing I did was went to ChatGPT and said, "Give me an itinerary for Sligo," and it recommended a couple of good things, but it made recommendations that were um, bad and in some cases dangerous, like hiking on very high mountains with no guides, and also did not have much balance throughout the region. So I have a very small team. We have no call center or tourist information network, and really, I'm intimately aware that the way that people want information now is just on one page. And when people are researching holidays, you don't want one tab open for your flights, the Ryanair page, your hotel page, your experiences page. The use of AI and large language models has conditioned us that we just want the answer. And even if you look at the Google search, the AI intro at the top, we all go into fewer websites than even last year. So we have all changed. I will never compete with ChatGPT, but I can react to how visitors research and we can be agile. So the ideas engine is the response to that. I can control the narrative of what we are at least trying telling people to do. We can spread throughout the county and the region, but also promote sustainability measures. We can promote public transport, and we can promote our festivals and events. So everything was really a reaction to that. I looked around for another system and none existed, so we just built our own.
That's great. And I mean, that's a very clear indicator. As you say, consumer demand really was the big driver for this, and owning that narrative, trying to utilize AI, but in a way that is practical and safe. Like the example of Ben Bulben, for example, is a powerful one, I think, isn't it, in terms
Yeah,
of safety and local knowledge?
exactly. And the natural sort of first idea of the use of AI is around imagery and video and generative AI, but that's quite scary because you're ultimately maybe presenting something that isn't true, and people arrive and expect to experience what they saw in a photo, and that's not reality. So, generative AI for imagery and videos is not something I recommended here. The use of AI within this system is to ensure balance of the delivery of the information. So I have a large data set of local data that I manage on basically a big spreadsheet of the experiences, the festivals, the hotels, the restaurants, the beaches, and I use AI to ensure that the results and the ideas given are balanced and are fair to everyone. So the AI is used for the processing of the information rather than the presentation. Because look at the photo behind me. This is a real photo. Like we don't need AI for this beautiful
Mm.
image. Um, so it can be useful. I think video translation is very powerful in tourism. Um, you know, Using avatars to translate into different languages, I think is good. But the use of AI within this tool is blended with local data that I control. For a big city, that's very difficult, but for small locations and rural areas, it's a little bit of work, but it is okay. It's just a structure of a spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's great. And maybe Aidan, going back to the spreadsheet, maybe you can walk us through the process of how this tool was created. How long did it take to develop? And it might give others an
Um,
insight if they'd like to do something similar. We have other organizations here on the call who are at your level, kind of destination marketing organizations, and I think that would be really interesting for them to learn.
I'm happy to share my screen to actually show the spreadsheet if that was useful. There's nothing personal, there's no personal information. It's all publicly available. It just gives an idea of how I have structured the information. Is that okay? Would you like me to share?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
So we just use like actual Google Sheets. Now, one consideration for we're a local authority, so we're the local government here. So GDPR is very important and data security and sensitivity is the number one priority. So we have to be very careful that this tool does not integrate with our actual data servers. So all we have to do is build a separate website, and this tool is embedded in the same way like a chat widget is, or a timetable for buses or trains. It's a bit of JavaScript. So it sits separately, which means that it is secure. So I discussed it with their IT people. They're the first people I spoke to, and we designed it to be safe. So can you see the spreadsheet okay?
Yes, yeah, we
Okay,
can,
so
Aidan. Thank you.
so this is our experiences in Sligo. So you can see we have a national search center here. So we have the title, we have a description, the image that we want to feed through, the opening hours, its address, including its like GPS location for maps. We include the categories that I want it to show in. I also identify the small area. So it is in a little village called Strandhill. So using the tool, somebody can say they want to go to this little village and it will show it. But also if somebody just says, surprise me, it can include this if I want it to be included heavily, or it can include it from the other end of the county because I want people to move around the county. So it's important that I tell the system where this thing is. I enter if it's free or it's a paid service. Is it suitable for families or couples or groups of people? Um, they have their website, their contact details. These are the GPS coordinates for the map and their social media pages, and that's it.
Brilliant.
So um, each um, experience is not extensive, but you just have to build that out, and then you're designing the system to tell the tool to dip into this and take the information out, and that's really it. So my position here was a new position, and I needed to do this audit anyway. Um, but if you may have that information and you might have to reorganize it, I just needed to do this anyway, so it's kind of worked out okay. But that's
And
how
Aidan,
it works.
that's brilliant. And maybe it would be a good time now I've shared the link in the chat for everyone to have a go themselves. But maybe you could share your screen again and we'll have a
Yeah,
look at how the tool actually looks and works
yeah.
on the front end.
Yeah, so our website is sligo.ie, but I think somebody, yeah, you said is the link already there. So now one aspect to this tool, and everybody will have their own approach. There's no SEO element to this, so I have to drive traffic to this through social media posts, our brochures, and even like in Sligo, like I've put the QR code on the bins around Sligo town. Um, some of the brochures that we produced for exhibitions and events, we have a QR code on the back. So we drive traffic to this. But ultimately, anyway, um, it's a very simple page, and it asks you when you want to come here or whether you've no real date in mind. But let's say in March for 3 or 4 days. It asks how are you getting to Sligo. Now, the reason I have this information is because we're on the Wild Atlantic Way, a coastal route. So if somebody is coming from a certain direction, it's good for the itinerary to, start at a relevant area and then as they make their way down the coast. Um, and I'll just say that I want to be surprised, but you can see that I've included all of these places in Sligo, which are all very rural. Um, this has actually been used far more than I expected because Ireland has a large diaspora. It's got a large amount of people in America, Australia. Everybody on this call has met an Irish person in the last few days. Irish people are everywhere, as you know. So people always know where their family are from. If they're from Sligo, they know little village that they're from, and they're very proud of this. So that's why I included it when it's been used. Here's the question: are you coming with a family or on your own or as a couple? So this does give different results because a family has different desires than a young couple with no kids. So let's go couples. This asks kind of what they're interested in. So let's see, beaches, I don't know, trails and walks, wellness, golf. Let's go with that. So it goes away. It takes that information. That's worked very quickly. I was going to fill a few seconds there, but it's worked. Sometimes on a Zoom or Teams call, it takes longer. So you can see that it very quickly went away and found. And um, Sligo, the tourism strategy in Sligo is all about three things. One is about activity in the landscape, so our walks and our trails and hikes, our natural beauty. Also, the what we call the cultural rhythm, so that is our music, which is very special, our literature, our poetry, music of all types. Our food, our beer, our whiskey, but also the third thing is what we call a destination transformed. So we have built a new public square in Sligo town. We have new infrastructure like on the beaches for hot showers. We have the National Surf Centre. So we want to promote that. So you can see that first day of the itinerary, it's telling you to go for a beautiful walk in the forest right beside Sligo town. Um, I have picked in this itinerary to be surprised. Um, because the train and the bus comes into Sligo town, it does start as the base, but you can see on this map that it's already tried to bring you out of the town slightly and also down to the countryside down here. So it includes a walk, a restaurant. Here's a beautiful beach. You go to a brewery, why not? You have live music, and here's your hotel recommendation.
Mm.
On day two, we talked about golf. So this is included, this is a beautiful golf course, one of the best in the world. More forest walks, more music sessions. So you can see that it is aligned with our strategy exactly. Um, you can download it by WhatsApp, email, or just as a PDF. So if you download as a PDF, you can then take it with you. If you send it to WhatsApp, you can send it to your friends or family.
And it's really concise, actually, with the way it does download it as a PDF. As you say, everything is on one page. The information
Yeah.
is nice and concise. Ah, here it is. Yeah,
So that's
lovely.
it there. So it also, every PDF has the section on public transport with all of the bus links, including the local link is our community bus service. So it is a new system in Ireland to connect little local villages and towns. It's an amazing service.
Hmm.
So we want people, especially say even domestic tourists in Ireland, to come from Dublin,
To make use of
the big
that, yeah.
city, go up to Sligo and use the little local link to get around. And we also, this is our famous poet in Sligo called William Butler Yeats. So everybody gets a Yeats poem.
Lovely.
So that's really it. It's quite straightforward of how it works.
And Aidan, you mentioned there a little bit, that the surprise me option has been used a lot. And I suppose thinking about the 3,000 itineraries that have been developed, there has to be, data insights that have been, coming in that you can explore now and use in your strategies going forward, informing businesses, etc.
Exactly. So I was just working on this yesterday. So I think this is the data from maybe quarter three and quarter four. Is this pie chart showing okay?
Yeah, yeah,
So
we can
the
see it.
big red block is surprising. So 60% of people are happy to go anywhere, and the
Wow.
rest are a few percent for each little local village. And the other chart above is the direction of travel. People, nearly half the people are already here, so they have arrived in a hotel. They've seen a brochure. Other people are planning their trip. This informs me for like social media advertising planning. Where I place Instagram or Facebook adverts. And this is the type of people. So you can see like families are 35%, couples are 32%. Groups are very small. We want to grow that. So I know that I want to increase our group market. This is only as good as people tell us. This is not
Yes,
exact, but
yeah.
it's a good enough trend, I think. Then also there's data which I can't show you because there's business details where we can start to see what businesses are being presented And if there's an imbalance and some are being shown too much, then we can adjust that, and be fair to everybody. So
Brilliant.
we haven't charged businesses to be on this. We've invested in ourselves. Sligo's too small a place to do that, and we have some big hotels that could do it, but the little rural businesses that are beautiful little accommodation places, or um, businesses around farms, things like that, don't have the budget for that. So I have a responsibility to support them.
And how has the buy-in been from businesses, Aidan? I know you've, been actively, as you say, promoting this locally and nationally as well. Are businesses seeing the difference? Are they finding that people are using the tool,
I
or
think
is
people
that
are,
visible?
yeah, well, I get generally good response. I do have the odd person that's saying, well, I can't be found, but I'm like, well, try it 100 times. And, and also like, because it's designed to promote a spread, they will show up in results for the other end of the county, so it's not perfect. But we are trying to promote and do our best for businesses at no cost to them. So, and I'm ready to learn. If somebody has any more ideas and improvement, then they can sit beside me and help me. They can come in and help me. So that's where we're at with it.
Brilliant. And we mentioned earlier that the project received an e-government award, recently featured in the Irish Independent Travel Insider Tips as well for 2026. I mean, that's great recognition for the project, which is still quite new, isn't it?
Yeah, I was delighted with that, I have to say. I think particularly in Ireland, like we have a few big cities, but outside of that, we have lots of smaller areas that tourists or visitors just drive through. So this sort of tool can be useful for particularly those destinations, and that suits rural tourism and rural businesses. You know, the main road from Dublin, for example, that comes into Sligo passes these caves. They're
Mm,
just 5 minutes off the road. So if we can tell more people to stop in here, then they'll buy coffee locally. They'll put petrol or diesel in their car locally. They'll buy lunch. And that could be suddenly 100 euro per car extra. And a few of those per day over the years, an enormous economic impact. So something like this will never just work on its own, but it is a useful tool when used with other things, I think, anyway.
yeah, brilliant, Aidan. There's one or two questions coming in on the chat, and I've just encouraged anyone that has a question to please add it to the chat as well, and we'll discuss them. I know you mentioned GDPR as being something you had to be really consider a lot. And there's a question here: do you use the email addresses and WhatsApp contacts captured for marketing purposes?
No, and we specifically state that. So I'll actually just share the screen again. So if you get an itinerary and you go to email and you put your email address in, we have our privacy policy link, but it actually says the data you submit will be stored according to our privacy policy and will not be used for marketing purposes. So I categorically state that, and we keep to that. We have other methods for harvested email addresses at exhibitions and things like that. And we are a local authority. We need to be very careful more than anybody about GDPR and data security.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question in here, that's actually three questions, and maybe we'll break them up a little bit. But I'll give them to you all as one and answer as you like. How much time did it take you to gather all the information? How do you
Uh,
ensure the latest information is always available? And how
uh,
often do you check that the information is up to date?
so it probably took me probably like 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks at the start. Um, but as I said, I needed to do this job anyway. For a bigger destination, it's a bigger problem. There's no doubt if I was doing this in Dublin, it would be scary, but you would need to start and segregate it. But for me, it was 3 or 4 weeks, and that was just a few hours per day, and it's just data processing. Um, I check it every I check it every few weeks in terms of the festivals and events in particular that are accurate, because that's very important. I do the odd spot check for um, business information, but like there, if a business closes, I'll know about it. If a new business opens, I'll kind of know about it, and in a few weeks I'll add it up. Their address won't change. Maybe their web address might change. Maybe their Facebook page might change. Um, so that's hard to check, but I can't guarantee everything. But that's why I called it the ideas engine. It's an idea, and it's we always give the advice to phone ahead. Make contact with the business, particularly if you've got young kids. You know, the idea is that we act as a bridge to the business directly. So if you click, book now for the golf club, it goes to the booking page of the golf club directly. If you click book now to the restaurant, it goes to the booking page of the restaurant, and then it's on them. So it's just an idea. It's a starting point. It's
Brilliant.
inspiration rather than me saying this is Bible truth. So
Yeah, that's lovely. That's another comment from Hannah saying thank you for that. She likes the idea. It's amazing. Well, that's brilliant, Aidan. I mean, we could probably talk for another half an hour easy, but that was wonderful to get an insight into the project
I just want to
and your
say,
work.
well, sorry, that everyone should come to Sligo, and if you do, our information, and this is all on sligo.ie, but there's an also wonderful person, hopefully on this call, called Val Robus, who has an amazing blog called Magnum Lady, who covers food and events all of the northwest of Ireland. So make sure you look. In fact, if you can put the link in the chat, everyone should look at that blog. She's an amazing person and an asset to Sligo, and deserves glory, in my opinion. So I'm trying to give it to her.
Thanks, Aidan.
She's
Oh,
here
hello,
with
Val.
us, yeah.
Hi.
And she'll be joining us next week as well. So even
So
better news
everyone
for
should go
our.
back and listen to Val. She's an amazing person.
Thank you.
Thanks, Val. Thanks for joining us today. So we've about 2 minutes left. So our next Dot Rural Digital Bites is on next Tuesday, the 10th of February. Thanks to Aidan for the glowing recommendation for Val, who will join us, and we'll talk about building rural tourism visibility through authentic social media storytelling. And there's a great registration list already joined up for that. The session is going to look at how stories about places are told digitally through tone, voice, format. Val herself is also award-winning in this space, so she'll share a little bit about that with us. And her blog, I believe, is 17 years old this week, so congratulations, Val. You were blogging for quite some time, and we look forward to hearing the story of that as well. So I'm just going to pop the registration link again into the chat. If you had only registered for the session today, I would encourage you to register for the session next week again, and indeed for the sessions that follow. So thank you again, Aidan, for joining us, for sharing the story of the Ideas Engine. I'm sure we'll be back in touch with you with regard to Dot Rural and sharing more about the project and your work as we go through the project in the next 2 years as well.
Just thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for the chance to speak to everyone today. And we'll look forward to seeing you in Sligo soon. Come to Ireland.
Thanks, Aidan. And thanks everyone for joining again, and hopefully we'll see you next week.